Welcome to another episode of the Players Ball Podcast for AT Aliens by AT Aliens. I'm your host, Alex the Great, and joined by my brother from another, MB, the man 2B. Um, there is good sports news in Georgia, the state of, and even in the city of Atlanta, but there is some not good news as well, man. Let's start with the highways. Let's jump right in. You okay with jumping right in?
I'm good.
All right, highways, byways, here we come, baby.
We got traffic incoming, covering all the biggest news in ATL sports, no matter the lane, no matter the highway. Let's get into it with Spaghetti Junction.
Um, our listeners, our loyal subscribers, have heard me rant about a certain Atlanta Braves player for 2 years at least now, right?
Yeah,
Two
two
solid
seasons.
years. And what does AA do? He goes and give him some more money. Raciel Iglesias has been re-signed. I text you about it, and it to to the people. It's been 2 or 3 weeks since we recorded. So, with the holidays and some busyness that happened on both of our ends. It's been a while, so this isn't new news, but Raciel Iglesias is coming back. So I text you and was like, man, they're bringing him back, and the article about how good he was just it felt like a lie. It felt like some kind of magician, but they presented numbers, and I have to respect those numbers. I guess he was a pretty good closer last year, even though he was just giving up games left and right to me. But they're bringing him back. What say ye?
What did one of our beloved coaches say? Stats are for losers.
Ugh,
Um,
don't.
I'm not trying to get you started, but
All right, so let's talk about that. No. Go ahead. What you
uh,
think about Ricel?
I think statistics are important. They do tell a story, but they don't always tell the full story, right? And just because the numbers look pretty good, the eye test matters, and the eye test is what you saw, right? Rysel consistently blowing leads, consistently coming in high leverage situations and just getting shell shocked. And it did not feel good as a Braves fan watching him coming in the eighth or ninth with a lead because you never felt like any lead was safe. So I definitely agree with you. Um, I did wonder like what other direction would they even consider as a team? They gave him 1 year, 16 million, which in baseball numbers, that's not a huge contract for a closer, right? It's a 1 year deal. If it doesn't work out, you know, he's
Off the
not he's not here long term. So I get it from a GM standpoint. I don't like it. I saw the news and almost immediately texted you because I knew what your reaction would be. Um, but I got busy and then you ended up, messaging me later that night anyways. But yeah, I mean, I'm not a huge fan of the move. I hope that what we saw the last two seasons isn't what we see this year. Uh, but you would be a fool to bet on something different. So I just think we'll see more of the same, and possibly even Rysel getting replaced as the closer by someone else throughout the season. That's just my prediction.
Yeah, hopefully. Just to give the people the numbers I was talking about. So 29 saves and 34 chances. That's a decent percentage. Um, his ERA was terrible in the first half. It was 4.42 in 39 games in the first half, but he finished in the second half with a 1.76 ERA, which is really good. and he was successful in his final 18 save opportunities. So it might have been that the Braves' shot of making the playoffs had long gone, and I stopped paying attention. Um, a la the Atlanta Falcons currently. I can't not pay attention to them,
I think
but
the
yes, that sounds good. But stats are for losers. This isn't fantasy baseball.
I will say they also threw him out there in the eighth on quite a few occasions where he blew leads that were not technically
Save
saves.
opportunities. Oh yeah.
So I wonder what the real number would be if you included all appearances. But that ERA is good, and to be able to take it from 4 down to below 2 as a closer, like considering you're only seeing 1.5, 2 max innings a night, like that means
Yeah.
you had quite a few clean innings in there. So I will say that that is shocking and somewhat impressive for him to be able to make that
Yeah.
turnaround.
Yeah. I mean, he definitely turned the switch on at some point in the season. So that he's second half, he went crazy. I still don't want to resign him. I think we could have put that 16 million to somebody else. Hopefully, we still will. They said we're gonna be top 5 spenders, so here we go.
Here we go.
Um, there wasn't any. There's a bunch of articles on like Braves players in review, season in review. I didn't actually check any of those. It was the fringe players that I saw, so I didn't really have a whole lot else to talk about with the Braves. You know, believe it or not, we're not that far away from spring training, being in December, so it's like a couple months away. So we'll restart it, and I'm sure by that time I'll have a little bit more optimism. Maybe I've forgiven the organization a bit for the decisions they made, the performance that they gave. You know, it's a very cyclical fan experience for me with them. 'Cause they always give me reason to believe at some point or another.
Sounds like another franchise we'll talk about later.
Hmm.
I'm gonna go off script a little bit here because I just remembered a real headline that came through tonight, um, and that is the CEO of Atlanta United, Garth Lagerwey, will not be returning to the franchise after kind of taking some personal time to deal with a battle with cancer. Uh,
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah, so the news of him not returning this year came down today, this afternoon. Um, Interesting. Like I don't know what that means for United moving forward. Obviously, they'll have to find someone to replace him. I imagine you can't just roll with no CEO.
Right.
But I hope that this is being done by choice and not being forced based off of an illness or a diagnosis, right? Like I hope this is just it was an opportunity where he, looked at the situation, what he dealt with over the last, 6 months to a year and just decided that like he wanted to go do something different, but hope he's healthy, hope he's recovering, hope, all that cancer stuff is in the rear view, and if it's not, I pray for his recovery, and it'll be interesting to see how that franchise moves moving forward with the new head coach and new CEO.
Yeah, because I imagine he had a big hand in Tata's return. Just that being a part of his job, right? Tata and Miggy and Latte Lath. So he's made some some good plays. Man, I didn't realize the Mr. Lagerway was a retired soccer player.
Most of the soccer, like front office personnel, are former professionals.
He does not look like his old picture. He has like braids and shaved sides on his head. I guess he's a goalie. Um, different frame. But yeah, no, that's cool to know. But yeah, prayers up for that guy battling the C word. So yeah, I'm curious to see where that's a big loss. I'm curious to see where things go.
Yeah.
Appreciate you breaking script to break the news, man. Dun 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 dun. Yeah, best wishes to Garth Lagerway. Um, Back to the script though. College basketball is booming, and I think it's called Feast Week. That just passed. So Thanksgiving is post Thanksgiving is the signal for like college basketball to start revving up. I know they've had some games before then, but now you're getting into the rankings and you're getting into the important games, not just the warm ups, right? The season is fully underway, but this is what they say is it starts the March to March. Um, and it seems like the dogs are still barking loudly, man. I haven't actually been following since the last time we spoke, but I know you've checked out a fact or two.
Yeah, I've been keeping an eye on them. Beginning of the season, there's a lot of tournaments that happen, holiday tournaments, like season opener tournaments, and so I think that's kind of how the preseason, if you will, kind of goes down when it comes to college basketball. And the biggest game the Dogs played in, I think, was in a recent tournament, and they took their first loss and only loss of the season to the Clemson Tigers. I believe it was a 1 or 2 point loss, so very close game. They beat Xavier in a close battle in the same tournament. The game prior, it came down to a 3-pointer, not at the buzzer, but at the end of towards the end of regulation to win it. So yeah, they've been playing well. They have a big game against FSU tomorrow night. They're still not ranked. They're still getting solid production out of Dominique Wilkins' son, Jake Wilkins. And yeah, I'm excited to see kind of how they progress through the year.
Yeah, no, and I'm gonna tap in. One because the legacy of Dominique Wilkins, but two, I gotta find a new Georgia team new local team, I should say, to pull for because Georgia State they don't look like they're gonna be dancing this year. They danced a couple years back, consecutive years in a row, so but no, they got blown out by they got bulldogged. You know how we were talking about them bulldog games where they beat somebody by like 50. Yeah, they got beat like that at the house too. So things aren't looking good in that arena. But no, it's interesting. And there's some games that they're playing closer to me, the Bulldogs. You know what? I think I might have missed it because they already played Georgia Tech.
Yeah, they played Georgia Tech right after our last podcast, and the game was much closer than their previous games, but I still think they won pretty handedly.
About 5. That's not indicative of how close the game was. 5 points at the end could have been 15 that they brought back pretty close, or it could have been 1 that they spread out. So yeah, sure on that. But let's see. Yeah, no, that was the closest game that I was gonna get. Well, always next season. Athens ain't too far. I did walk by the basketball arena or that part of campus when I was up there last year.
Stegman
And man,
Coliseum.
yeah, it's nice, man. That whole area is just really nice.
I love Athens. I do think so. It's been a long time since I've been to Stegman. The last time I was there, my sister was graduating.
Mm.
from the University of Georgia in Stegman. And it definitely was older, and I don't know that they've done any renovations to it.
I didn't get to go in, right? But it just from the outside, it just looked like a coliseum style. Now I will say that I went inside of Clemson. I think I went to one of their games last season. I went to Clemson's basketball complex, and it's right behind Death Valley, and it's like off the charts nice. Outside and inside. It's like an NBA arena, just on a smaller scale.
With the amount of money these schools are bringing in from their football programs, the University of Georgia especially, like it would shock me if they haven't done some renovations or like don't have plans to do renovations on Stegman, because uh, they definitely have the funds, and I know the baseball program and a bunch of other programs have benefited from the influx of revenue, new locker rooms, new facilities, like left and right. So it's only right that the basketball program would also benefit from some of that.
Yeah, it looks like they did some structural repairs. Was the last renovation that was in 2023, but that's a first phase of a several phase process. They have a master plan to spend some of that dog football money.
There's a lot
Blow
of
it.
it.
Yeah, blow it. Dog football, man. Before we get to them specifically, there was a player that was caught speeding. Surprise, surprise. It had been a while, several months since that had happened. But it looks like Kirby took swift and harsh punishment on the young fellow, booted him from the team. So at least that was uh, done. But I still don't get it, bro.
I don't either. Look, you and I have had long conversations. I think we've had some long conversations on the podcast about this thing, and you know, the program gets a lot of flack for the arrests, the speeding citations, and look, these guys aren't helping their cause by doing these things. I don't think Athens or Clark County PD is helping the situation either. They have kind of a reputation of kind of hunting for these guys, whereas I know some other universities, um, the police force would rather help a guy out. Is not the case in Athens, but I don't get it, and it is like rightfully made public, and you know other fan bases have every right to kind of poke fun, make comments, whatever about the situation in Athens. But I'm like, what more can Kirby do? He kicks players off, he punishes players, he has people come teach defensive driving. Like he does all of these things to try and prevent situations like this, and yet somehow they continue to occur. And I don't think Georgia is the only program that has some of this stuff happen. I think Georgia, every single incident that happens is publicized, and you know it's made national attention. Uh, but they obviously have a problem, and I do think the problem is at least seemingly at a higher rate than anywhere else in the country.
Yeah. If there were a college that could be compared to them, someone in the Georgia sports media would have called that college out just to, have to share in the misery a bit. And this one felt a little different because it said this wasn't like a race. Or maybe he was racing, but then he fled and went on a police chase where he topped over 150 on I-85.
Have you read the like the reports and all of the situation?
No, just the
Okay.
highlights. He
So
was going really fast, and he ran from the cops.
I will say there was only one racing incident at the University of Georgia, and that was the one with Jalen Carter and the fatal crash after the national championship award, like parade and ceremony.
Hmm.
The other incidents have been traffic related, speeding, having one of them was like having banners or something on the windshield because any obstructed view is against the law. Like like silly traffic violations, but traffic violations nonetheless. Um, this incident, his mom was in the car, and his younger
What?
brothers were in the car, and apparently he fled because he didn't want his mom to get a ticket, and then it was felony because of the reckless driving, but his brother or sister was in the car and they're a minor, so then it was endangerment of children. So like it was several felony charges. It is a bad situation. Like terrible, but it's like what is this family? Like what is going on with this dynamic that would create a situation in which you are evading or trying to evade the police with your brother or sister and mother in the vehicle.
Yeah, looking at the article, it says that the police tried to pull him over for failure because he ran a stop sign. Failure to stop. How you get from a failure to stop to 150 miles an hour is, man, that's perplexing. It says that his mom tried to block the officers. Yeah, I brung it up. I heard it and I brung it up as a shot, right? This is actually gonna take some real reading because this is wild.
It's also why he was immediately dismissed from the program.
Yeah, if he had getting pulled over and just got a citation or been arrested, probably wouldn't. He'd probably still be on the team, right?
Yeah, and honestly, like, so I think if you read the article, there was some marijuana or paraphernalia or something that he was also cited for, if I'm not mistaken. So I imagine he was afraid of that from a simple traffic stop, but let's just pretend you just go about your business, you pull over, you get your ticket for running a stop sign or whatever. Like, this situation probably doesn't, I mean, it probably gets publicized because it's a Georgia football player with a traffic violation. But to your point, like he's still on the team.
Let's get this right. 'Cause words matter. So this is the unofficial. Commerce Police released an unofficial report where they said that the officer was speaking with the driver, later identified as the mother of the primary suspect, when another vehicle blew past at more than 100 miles an hour in a 25-mile-an-hour zone. So they pulled his mom over for the stop sign, and
He tried
he
to like get the cops to follow him instead of giving her a ticket.
didn't try. He succeeded. If that was the plan, it worked. Probably a little too well.
Oh, yeah, that's wild. But enough about the off the field stuff.
No, on the field, man. Yes, sir. They're going to the big game.
Yeah,
SEC championship bound Georgia Bulldogs. They beat Georgia Tech. It doesn't make sense that Georgia Tech wouldn't still be in the ACC championship if Duke is in it and they got 4 losses and Virginia is in it. I don't know how good Virginia was, but I don't
so
understand how that worked.
so in college sports, it's based off your conference record. It's also why a 2-loss Bama team is still in it for the SEC. Because when you look at their conference record, their conference record is only 1 loss. So
Got it.
Duke,
Yeah, Duke's conference record is 6-2, but Georgia Tech's conference record is 6-2.
so then what happens is you go to these crazy tiebreaker scenarios. And I don't know all the rules in the ACC, but let's say in the SEC, so Texas A&M, all they had to do was beat Texas, and they're in the SEC championship. They lose to Texas, and then it goes to a tiebreaker because you have A&M, you have Ole Miss, you have Alabama, and you have Georgia, all with 1 conference loss. So then you look at, well, did they all have any like opponents? No. None of them. Not a single team played 1 opponent for all 4 teams. So, like, not all 4 teams played a Kentucky. Not all 4 teams played an Auburn. There was not a single opponent that all 4 teams played. So then you have to go to like head-to-heads and some other, like, it's a stepping stone. So like you go to criteria A. If you can't find a resolution criteria A, you go to B, C, D, E until you find something that distinguishes one team above the rest. And the reason why Georgia is in and Alabama are in, because Georgia had the head-to-head against Texas, and Texas had the head-to-head against A&M. Georgia had the head-to-head over Ole Miss, and I believe Alabama got in there through a similar circumstance. So, like I said, don't know how it works in the ACC specifically, but it's some sort of similar situation. What's crazy is the way the ruling was for the playoffs is you had the 4 highest seed or highest ranked conference champions will automatically make it. So if Alabama wins, they'll automatically make it as one of the 4 highest ranked conference champions. If Duke wins the ACC may not get a single team in because Duke won't get an automatic bid because of their 4 losses.
5
losses.
Yeah.
Because they won't be higher ranked than, say, like a Tulane or, one of these smaller conferences.
Which serves them right. They got to get their rules right. What's more perplexing about Georgia Tech? So they went 9-3. One of their losses was to Georgia. Okay, ranked Georgia. Another of their losses was to ranked Vanderbilt. I know those aren't conference games, but I think that would apply for a strength of schedule if that's considered.
Their losses.
They beat Duke.
Their losses are to Louisville, Pitt, and Georgia.
They lost to NC State, Georgia, and Vanderbilt. Oh, Vanderbilt was last year.
They lost to Pitt, so it must have been NC State, Pitt, and Georgia.
Yes.
Because they lost 2 weeks in a row. They lost to Pitt and they
NC
lost
State,
to Georgia.
Pitt, and then Georgia. Yeah.
If they beat Pitt, they're in. But they lost that game.
Who was a ranked opponent at that time? I just don't get Duke. Right.
It, like I said, it's like some crazy tiebreaker scenario.
Yeah, Miami is also 10-2.
Miami's who lost to
the same
Louisville.
Conference record, 6-2. Everyone's 6-2 in the conference except for Virginia, who's 7-1.
So Miami lost to Louisville and Virginia Tech, or
SMU.
Who else did they lose to? There was one game that I just remember watching the fans storm the field. and seeing a wide receiver get trampled. Trying to remember what fan base
Louisville.
that was. Louisville.
Louisville and SMU were their losses.
So yeah, it has to do with some weird tiebreaker scenario with head-to-heads and who beat who.
They beat Georgia. They beat Notre Dame.
Notre Dame's not a conference game.
I know, but yeah. I don't know. That's perplexing. But it worked out for the Dogs. So the Dogs are going to be in the SEC championship.
I don't know that it worked out for the Dogs, but we'll see.
I think it did. We talked about it the last time they played Alabama. Kirby gotta get that monkey off his back. I think they have some comeuppance that he owes them, man. I wouldn't be too surprised if I want Georgia to win. Let's say that first. But Kirby Smart has not been able to beat Alabama. I think them running into them again in the SEC championship, like the good old days, is the perfect opportunity for some redemption, some real redemption, monkey relief.
It is a great opportunity for some redemption, but Georgia's in the playoff if they don't play that game. And not only are they in the playoff, but they have most likely a bye because they were already ranked in the top 4. They would be sitting at home, getting healthy, not playing, and they would stay in the top 4 because they're likely going to go into the top 3 with the A&M loss. So they would have been sitting pretty without having to play that game. They did have Drew Bobo, their center, get hurt in the Georgia Tech game. And I don't know what his diagnosis or prognosis is, but I highly doubt it'll be available Saturday. So as much time that we could have gotten rest and time to prepare for playoffs, I would have welcomed. Now,
there's too much rest though.
I don't know that there is with the way. Well, I mean there is, but
all the bye week. I think with the exception, I heard him talking about it on the radio, so I may misquote it. But all the people who had multiple bye, you get the bye, and then you like have a week before that and a week after that where there's other games played, so you end up with like 3 weeks, almost a month off.
They would have had over a month off.
That's rest, not rest for me, man. I don't want my team sitting out that long. Then baseball specifically comes to mind about the division winners, the number 1 seed losing. But there was a quote from Mike Johnson on the morning show. He was talking about how like all of the bye teams lost.
Most of them, if not all of them, lost. However, I will say I think in baseball it's a much bigger deal than it is football, right? Because in football you're not streaky, right? In baseball, you need live pitching, you need live at bats. Like there's no way to simulate that. With football, like your body, if you're going into a game healthy, rested, like 100%, like you have an advantage over your opponent who's getting beat up each and every week.
Or maybe they're more emotionally tied to, what's going on when you're coming in there. Your body is definitely one of the most important factors on your success on any sporting field, but specifically football. But having not played, a practice can only do so much, right? Preseason, training camp, those things they're not providing a whole lot of value. They're warm-ups, and that's actually playing. Without you actually playing, man, that's tough, bro.
I agree. I mean, you get a very limited amount of practices in the fall and even spring. Like you maybe have a month before the first game after fall camp. And that isn't a lot of time, but we're talking about at this point, you've been through spring, you've been through fall practice, and you've been through 11 games, right? So like getting the rest, getting the recovery, I think is invaluable. Now, do I want to win this game? Yes. Do I want redemption? Yes. We've gone 1-7 against the Alabama Crimson Tide. So I want to win this game, I think, just as bad as everyone else. But I do think from an advantage standpoint, not playing in it was the better route. Now, we'll see how it plays out. We'll see how much injuries from Friday and Saturday play into this game, because Alabama's coming in hurt too, right? Like, it's not just Georgia. Alabama's coming in wounded. I just hope that we don't just completely kill each other and wreck whatever bodies they have left going into a potential playoff run, because more than anything, I would rather win a national championship than an SEC championship.
I hear that. But don't you want both?
Oh, absolutely. Yes. And Kirby talks about it. Man, I love Kirby Smart. I love the way he loves the University of Georgia, and he loves the game of football, and he's very blunt and frank about things. He's been very candid in his pressers lately, having several very viral worthy little sound bites. But one thing he talks about is how much of an honor it is to play in the SEC championship game, that there are hundreds, if not thousands, of players, past and present, who have never had the opportunity to play in the game, much less very few have won the game. So to get that chance and to get that opportunity, someone in the past would have killed for that same opportunity. So you don't take it for granted. You give it the respect that it's due, and you go out there and you try to win every game that you play.
And you win this game, you still get a bye.
You do
get some recovery time, right? Now you can't blow it. And now you done played yourself, right?
Yeah. Well, I will say, there is a legitimate fear, and I don't think any of the talking heads are saying this, but the committee is wacky, right? So Kirby actually went on record and was like, we earned this opportunity. There was no committee that selected you to this game. You earned this. Whereas there's a bit of bias,
media bias,
in the selection of the playoff, right? You earn it, but at the same time, you're selected to be there. So not every team that earned the right to be there will be there. Case in point, FSU 13-0 a couple of years ago, right? But man, I lost my point.
Was it about Ole Miss?
No. It was about the Dogs. Oh, no. Okay. So I have a legitimate fear because of the way the committee has done things in the past. If Georgia goes into this game and loses, and you're evaluating, all right, we're 10-2, we've been high ranked, we have the resume, we've beat all these teams, but we will have lost to the same team twice in one season. Would they use that as ammunition to say that we don't deserve a shot in the playoffs?
I don't think they could do that. Maybe if it was still a 4-team, but a 12-team, there's 10 other opponents that you could run into before that would be even thought of. And fans will clamor. I think nationwide fans clamor for Georgia, Alabama. It's must-see TV.
I think there's a growing sentiment of SEC hate. So I think they're, especially in the Big Ten, that they believe there's SEC bias, and there is, right? ESPN, Disney, they have a media rights deal with the SEC, and they have a lot of the controlling voices So they have monetary interest in the SEC. So I do think that there's legitimate bias, but I also, I don't know.
Well, that's even more reason for them to make it then. If the bias exists, there's no way that they lose and don't make it into the playoff.
I don't know. Like you have at this point, you have Texas A&M, you have Alabama, Georgia, Ole Miss, Oklahoma, and there's even some arguments to potentially a Texas earning or being deserving of a playoff spot. And like not all those teams are going to make it.
Right.
And so if Georgia has 2 losses, Alabama has 2 losses, Oklahoma has 2 losses, Ole Miss only has 1 loss or 2 losses. I think they only have 1, and it's to Georgia. Like if all of that plays out, like I could see an argument being, well, Georgia's played Alabama twice and they haven't been able to pull out the victory. So do we even play for a potential third? Like you could end up with a championship that is Georgia Alabama, or a Final Four, or a semifinal that's Georgia Alabama. And then you have people saying, well, we've seen this play out twice already. Do we really want to see a third?
That's happened before.
So, I don't know. It does worry me as a Georgia fan, knowing that they've done some goofy stuff in the past. If we happen to fall on the wrong side of the game again for the 8th time.
Well, winning cures all, and no better opportunity now. Because now, if you do happen to lose, you still have a shot at national championship.
Maybe,
right? But you want to win. No, you do. Come on, man. The odds are that they're in. They're not gonna be kicked out of the playoff for that. I don't see that happening.
I would say the odds are in Georgia's favor, yes, but I would not be shocked if something crazy happened. I will say this is also Georgia's 5th straight trip to the SEC championship, and I don't know many teams. It is record tying, so there's only one or a couple teams that have ever accomplished that in their program history. So
Alabama.
I would guess Alabama. Alabama, maybe
Probably
Florida.
Clemson. Are you talking about just SEC?
SEC championships, yeah.
Okay, yeah, maybe a Florida.
But yeah, go Dogs, sick 'em. I wish we could go to the game this year, but there's just way too much going on.
It's Friday or is it Saturday?
It's Saturday.
Yeah. Yeah, it's gonna be a lituation down there, man.
Yeah, absolutely. The tickets are going to be a lot more expensive than they were last year. I can promise you that.
You think so?
Oh, yeah.
I thought Texas was a really big draw. Not as big as Alabama, though. Huh?
Not as big as Alabama and Georgia.
Yeah, no, that's especially after the way that this last game went.
Yeah.
So yeah, okay.
Before we move on, I'd be remiss if I didn't shout out my alma mater. They weren't my alma mater when I was there. We got absorbed. So by virtue of acquisition or merger, the Kennesaw State Owls are going to the Conference USA Championship. It's only their 2nd year in the FBS. So congratulations to the Owls. They are going to be bowling. They earned their right for a bowl a few weeks ago, but they're going to be in their first ever Conference USA Championship game. So go Owls.
That's dope, man. Shout out to them. Yeah,
Jacksonville State.
It just says JAX.
As Jacksonville State.
Okay. All right. Well, yeah, man. That's good. See, we talked about some good things. Another good thing, the Hawks. Hooty hoo! I said it earlier for the Kennesaw State Owls, but we'll say it for the segment now.
From the gridiron to the hardwood, you know you got to keep your eyes on the birds. Let's talk Hawks. Let's talk Falcons. This is Hooty Hoo!
The Hawks have been doing pretty good, man. I mean, it's hard to read, right? I would just drop a couple of things at you and then let you react to it. So, we had a chance to make the quarterfinals for the NBA Cup because we beat Cleveland. Or no, we beat somebody, but then we needed to beat the Wizards. The Wizards had 2 wins at the time, and they got their 3rd win against us. They had a career night from the former Pelican, CJ McCollum. I think he hit like 11 threes or 10 threes on the night. He went like 10 for 13 from behind the arc, right? Record day. But for a team that has been performing on the defensive end and has been so much better defensively without Trey Young, for them to lose to the Wizards is part of course for the Hawks. That said, I do like this team. I think they get a lot better with Trey Young returning. They went on to beat Philly last night. Jalen Johnson, I think we saw it last year before he went down, but his growth has just been uh, astronomical, right? He's definitely not on a linear growth path. It's been exponential for sure. He dropped 41 last night against the Philadelphia 76ers. Also on this, little last week and a half, 2 weeks, Vic Krejci, my least favorite Hawk, he's been shooting almost 50% from behind the arc. He's been balling. Still don't want him playing that much. Mo Gay has had some good performances. He's a real scrappy guy. So, but considering that, where are you with this team?
I don't really know what to make it. It seems like the Hawks of old, but also the Hawks of new.
Hmm.
So we have historically struggled with teams that we should blow out, right? Like
Yeah,
the Hornets, the Pelicans, this year
Brooklyn.
the Wizards. Like that's an embarrassing loss. I did, basketball is weird, right? Because all it takes is a team going cold and a team getting hot, and then you end up with what happened against the Wizards. But what I do like is beyond a few instances, this team is competing each and every night against tough competition. They lost tonight 99-98 to the Detroit Pistons. But that is a solid
Number 1 ranked.
solid team that they were in it till the end, right? Jalen Johnson put up another fantastic stat line, 29, 7, and 13. He's been dang near a triple-double every night. I like the core of this team. I've said it before. I really like what we have foundationally. I don't know what we look like with Trey. Now, take it at, face value, but when you look at it statistically, when we had Trey early this year, small sample size, but this team is drastically different defensively from a statistics standpoint. So it will be interesting to see how things go when he's, brought back onto the team and just kind of see how we perform. We're also win-loss record, much different winning percentage now versus when he was playing early. Like I said, take that just, at face value because it was early in the season. There was still a lot they were trying to figure out. The sample size is small. Much smaller sample size with Trey than without him. But yeah, I'm curious to see how Quinn Snyder makes it work when he's back.
One of those things that and you mentioned it there a little bit, that people were just not speaking on is that Trey had this is a brand new team,
Yeah.
right? So they had not found their way. No one had really found their way within the offense or the defense yet. And as the season has gone on, that's the ideal progression of the team. Trey's absence doesn't it's not that may not have any correlation to the defense. I'm sure there's some correlation there, but the rise of Jalen Johnson in his role, the rise of Nikhil Alexander Walker in their roles, I don't think that his presence negates that. Right, as they gel, those guys, because Nikhil Alexander Walker, he's scoring, he's dropping buckets. And I saw Trey last year um, buy in with what Quinn was trying to do and average, 12 assists, 13 assists a game while dropping his points to like 22, 23. So I saw him wanting to be a pass first point guard, which with the weapons that we have now, dog, I think offensively the sky's the limit. And I don't think we get there without him. The other thing is that I think he covers, whereas Dyson Daniel is a magnificent defender, he's lacking a little bit. He's still finding his way offensively. They cover each other so well when they're on the court together because you don't have any offensive fall off because Trey more than produces uh what the Great Barrier Thief could do, and then he's such a great defender that he covers Trey. You know, net zero on defense, net 10 on offense, right? Is what those aren't real numbers, but that's what I'm trying to emphasize.
Yeah. So I also, taking a little step back, we haven't mentioned the progression of Onyeka Okongwu, which I think has been
Mm,
significant as well. And I feel like needs to be mentioned because I do think that gets even more heightened or highlighted by the return of Trey, right? Like Trey loves to dish the rock, and what better, go to target than Onyeka, right? Putting up highlight alley oops and buckets down low. But I will say I've been impressed by
Nikhil.
Nikhil Alexander Walker's ability, defensively and offensively. Like he has stepped in and played very well um, as a facilitator. So I think if we can find a way to mix the lineups to where everyone is complementary and you don't have any big drop off in any facet from, 5 to 5, it will be interesting to see how far this team will go. But, I think there's still a lot of question marks as in, what will those rotations look like? How will Quinn utilize the pieces, and how will a guy who needs to have the ball, he's a ball
Hmm.
dominant guard,
He is ball dominant guard.
how all of that will gel together. We saw it with um,
DJ.
Murray, yeah,
Yeah.
DeJounte. It didn't work. So hopefully that's not the case here with the pieces that we got.
What I've seen out of this Hawks without him is that the facilitation is very evenly spread out. Like there's not anybody. Jalen is balling, right? I think he might be averaging something like 6 assists, 7 assists, something like that. But Nikhil Walker's averaging 5. Everybody's getting 4 or 5 assists. It's equally moved rock. Whereas when Trey comes back, he can equally move the rock to all those guys still. Right now that there are some offensive options, that was one of our biggest issues in the. We didn't make the playoffs last year. We're in the play-in, but we had no secondary option behind Trey. And now you get all these guys cooking on the offensive end. You can't. You They're hard to stop,
Yeah.
right? If he has some wingmen, it's gonna be hard to stop him. Now, is a championship or bust? No, but I think they're bound to do good things once he's back because they're already doing good things without him. All right, man. I mean, we can just make this last section quick, man.
Fire him now.
Yeah, the Atlanta Falcons are still being coached by Raheem Morris after an embarrassing loss. There was some more clock management stuff. I watched this game, right? It had been the first. I watched the Carolina game too. I was there, and we stayed through overtime and all of that. But this last game, it was before the 2-minute warning. I guess it kind of worked out, but he just did not call a timeout. He let like
Going into halftime?
legit. Was it halftime? He let like a legit 15 seconds run off the clock.
Yeah, no, we had 3 timeouts left, and he hadn't used any, and
Yeah,
it was under a minute to go. We ended up scoring a touchdown, but it was still perplexing. Like, what are you holding on to him for? Like, you gonna take
right.
him in the locker room with you? Like, you can't use
Yeah,
him in the second half.
you can't spell him. All right.
I don't get it. It's not just the clock management issues for me. Like, what is his obsession with receiving the kickoff?
Mm,
That
that is
angers
something
me so
that's weird.
mad. Like, there
Yeah,
is no world where receiving the kick is beneficial. No world.
right. You just kick it off at half. I've heard him spell it out before. He wants to
Established
establish
nothing.
everything quickly. Yeah, you can't do that if your offense is trash.
I think
Which,
we have
oh my
scored.
god,
We have scored probably on our opening possession after receiving the kickoff once, maybe twice. And what have we played now? 9, 10 games?
yeah, yeah. I think it's 11 games, and yeah, the kicking is special teams altogether was blown. We would have won a game. Obviously, one play doesn't lose you the game, but you had the muffed punt that they ended up scoring on one play, and then the lack of talent at wide receiver. You mentioned it the last time we talked. Like, how do you expect them to win without Drake? And oh man, I guess I don't. Darnell Mooney looks like he's just trash now. The other guy, David Seals. I mean, he's young. Moment was too big, pissed down his leg. You know what I mean? But Darnell Mooney is supposed to be your second best receiver, and he had some inexcusable drops in that game. Specifically, the last one in the fourth quarter was just like, what are you doing? Kurt only has so many good balls in his arm, pause, a game, and you wasting them.
Uh,
Defense was getting after it. James Pierce Jr. got another sack. You know what's weird is that they Divine Diablo was back looking like he was before, just everywhere. But what's odd is that, and I don't think there was an injury. There was just a sharp drop off in the defense from the first to second half.
there were injuries. So you lost Billy Bowman Jr. for the season. Who?
No, I'm talking about during the game though. During this last game.
Yeah. I got
This
you.
last game, I don't think there were any injuries. They were getting after the Tyrod Taylor. The only time that the Jets really scored or drove the ball at all in the first half was just giant chunk plays where, it's just a misassignment. But then the second half, it was like they went into the locker room and it's like, all right, guys, we can dial it back now. We don't have to play as well. And the defense just looked like they were,
How much of that though? And I don't know how many plays we had on defense first half or second half, but like, how much of that is caused by the inability of your offense to sustain long drives?
Uh, I could see that being a challenge if you're playing an offensive juggernaut, not the Jets, right? Like the offense was on the field. I don't know how many 3 and outs they had, but I don't remember there being many in the second half. So they couldn't sustain drives, but it's we also were shutting the Jets down. They weren't on the field very long in any instance.
Yeah.
Oh man,
Oh no, there's
yeah,
just so much about this team that's angering. You brought up the special teams. That has been an issue for us all year, right? Like you had the kicks early on, missed field goals by Koo, losing games. Uh, you had missed field goals by Parker Romo. You had from day one terrible kick and punt coverage. Like
yeah.
we've been getting gashed week in and week out, and it's like
The punts have been terrible themselves too. Bradley Pinion did a punt that the thing might have gone 20 yards. Like, damn, throw it if
right.
that's all you're gonna give us.
Um, it's been awful. Special teams. You know, every game you can point out where our opponent has had a big play on special teams, or we've had a bad play on special teams with missed field goal opportunities. In this particular game, you had all three, right? Like you had a missed field goal, you had a muff punt, and you allowed them to bust a 90-yard return.
Yeah,
Like it's inexcusable. And what's the most upsetting, and this just like added on to the list of things I'm about to say, but when asked about it, Raheem just flat out said, you know, he has confidence in his special teams coach and that, you know, they're not going to make any changes. And, you know, people asked him about the situation where they fired the wide receivers coach. And, you know, the response was, well, that was a communication issue, whatever. It was a communication issue that led to a performance issue or not like execution problems. Well, you may feel like you have better communications with your special teams coordinator, but you're not getting any better execution, right? And not only that, but when you let go your wide receivers coach, apparently that had a lot to do with the Ray McLeod situation. Apparently Ray stood up against that decision, and that's what got him out the door. Well, you could really use a Ray
is that
McLeod.
what happened?
Supposedly, you could really use a Ray McLeod right now, and like it's just every time Raheem answers these questions, I get more angry and like want this man fired faster. A week ago, when we played against the Saints, it was the first game Kirk Cousins started in that he had all reps. Like we came out, we won, and everyone noticed something different about the offensive scheme, and it's Kirk Cousins being under center. Well, when asked about it, comments were made. I'm not going to quote this perfectly, but essentially it was said that, well, Kurt's most comfortable under center. You know, Michael Penix isn't comfortable playing from under center. Well, what the hell did we see last year with Kirk Cousins being in the pistol?
Yeah.
And if you drafted a quarterback who can only operate in the pistol, then you're not selecting your personnel correctly.
Do you think that's what happened? Do you think Michael Penix can't play under center?
I think that there may be some feelings that he can't play or he's not as comfortable under center. But I think Raheem's just scapegoating people and burning bridges.
He scapegoated Michael Penix. That was a super frustrating thing for me because he did it for Zach Robinson. Here's how I read that situation. Kurt comes back. He's like, hey, man, I need to be under center. Michael Penix is essentially a rookie. He's not gonna have. Maybe he does. I'm saying he's not gonna have the audacity to say, "Hey, look, I need to be under center more. These play calls aren't working." Kurt has been in the league many years. He's one of the highest paid quarterbacks of all time. He's gonna speak it like he sees it, and he goes out there and he has success going under center. I think Zach Robinson changed his mentality because Kurt said something or someone said something and it worked. And when it worked, Raheem Morris blamed Michael Penix for a lack of ability over blaming his man for shitty play call.
And terrible scheme.
Yeah.
So I don't know that I strike Kirk as a yes man. I think there was more to it than Kirk saying I got to go under center. I think hopefully there's someone saying get this fixed or you're gone. And someone had to cave and say, well, what we're doing isn't working. Let's see what we can do. Kurt has a lot of experience under center. Let's cave, right? Like, let's change the scheme. Because, like, for months, dating back to last year, people have been saying, like, let's not just run this pistol stuff. I don't mind running the pistol, but you can't run your offense only out of the pistol, right? Like, play action pass, like, run game, all of it is predicated off of unpredictability, and you don't get the same looks just running the pistol. So I don't know. Yeah, I don't know what it is, but I feel like every time Raheem Morris gives us an explanation, it's complete and utter crap. And I'm ready to see that man out of town. And I hate it because I was, I feel so suckered as a Falcons fan for always getting excited about the stuff that we do and just like buying into these decisions when Raheem Morris has been a loser everywhere he's been as a head coach, and he's a loser here. Like, why did we expect better results? Just because we wanted to believe?
The team was better. I think another year of we should be better than we are right now. And our record is a reflection of him. We got hyped because we're third in the league in sacks.
So ridiculous.
No one saw that coming, right? We were hyped because of that. We drafted a dog. We went back into the first round to get James Pierce Jr., who I want to give him his due. By the time this season's over, he's gonna have earned that first round pick for sure. I'm sure of it. But we made these moves. We had fresh arm and legs coming in at the quarterback position. We were going to have another year of growth for Drake London. We have a top 3, if not the best running back in the league. There was a lot of reason for optimism. Our first game we lost because he had too much love for a kicker. The second game, I can't run them all back. I'm trying to block it out, right? I'm trying to repress those memories. But we had optimism for legitimate reasons, and he has ruined it. Raheem ruined it.
Well, this season's cooked.
Yeah, it is. You got the Panthers beating the Rams. The Buccaneers, I think they beat somebody they were supposed to beat, but you can't lose to the Jets. If we beat the Jets, we're still in contention. Right? Outside looking in, but you're saying there's a chance. Now that's over, bro. It's over. We still got to play the Seahawks and the Rams. I think the Rams are coming here. I'm probably gonna try to get off both of them tickets. I'm legit looking at not renewing my season tickets. If I can make money off of them, I'm not gonna keep going.
We've played 12 games. We have 5 remaining. We have the Seahawks, the Bucks, the Cardinals, the Rams, and the Saints. I heard Raheem Morris talk about the Seahawks and talk about their offensive scheme and say that it's similar to theirs. I'm like, on what planet is the Seahawks offensive scheme similar to the Falcons?
Right.
It's
Zach Robinson is not an NFL coordinator.
He might be. He might be in the future. But he's got
he is currently in the job.
No, like I think that any coach has the ability to adapt, change, and elevate themselves. But right now, he is not offensive coordinator caliber coach. And Raheem Morris is not a head coach. He may never be a head coach.
What gives you, after the 2 seasons that we've endured, what gives you reason to believe that Zach Robinson can learn to adapt? That's been one of our biggest critiques of him and Raheem, is that they refuse to adapt. They refuse to change.
Well, you see some of it with the fact that we're running under center now.
I think that to your earlier point, somebody was like, "Hey, look, you're about to be fired if you don't change this."
Well, it's a day late and a dollar short, but it still shows that there is some adaptability or change happening, whether it's forced or not, right? Like, this should be a humbling situation for them, especially when they're fired, God willing. And they'll go get a job somewhere else under somebody, and hopefully they learn and change and maybe get another opportunity down the road. Look, I think of a prime example, and I know college and the NFL are completely different games, but look at Lane Kiffin. So Lane Kiffin went to Tennessee as a head coach, flew away in the night when nothing was working properly, ran from his problems to USC, got left on the runway. The plane left USC without him. So the 2 back-to-back, like, complete and utter failures of a head coaching gig, right? He's made it a long way in his career off his dad's name. Monty Kiffin was a legendary coach, right? But he gets humbled. He works under Nick Saban and basically has to take a back seat. And he did that. He ended up going to Ole Miss. He's had a lot of success at Ole Miss, and now he's going to LSU. I think he'll have a lot of success. He actually went to South or Florida Atlantic before
Ole Miss.
Before Ole Miss. So, like, he's had to take a back seat. Like, he's had failures. He had to be broken down. He's built himself back up a better coach. I still think LSU is going to be a struggle to meet their expectations as a program, right? Like, Brian Kelly won a lot of games. He still got fired.
Right.
It's championship or bust at LSU. So he's going to be under a pressure cooker that he hasn't experienced in his last 2 stops. But all that to say, like, we've seen coaches leave head coaching, become coordinators, and make it back as a head coach, or, get demoted in other roles and then come back and be successful in the roles that they struggled in before. Like, it's not unheard of.
I think for someone of Zach Robinson's pedigree, it would be. Right. The scenario I see working out for him is that one of his former coworkers or head coaches takes him back on, right? Like, if he goes back and works with Sean McVay and then has success there, maybe that would be his opportunity for another shot. But another team, like a team where he doesn't have a connection, I don't see them hiring him with the resume he's put up in the last 2 years. Raheem's not going to be a head coach again. I think this was his second and probably final shot. third. Well, that was interim, right? He was a head coach with the Bucks. He was interim with us, and then he was hired with us. So I'm gonna say 2 official head coaching jobs. I don't see. He's gonna now. Can he get a coordinator job and have some success? Yeah,
Yeah.
but I don't see the same for Zach Robinson because he hasn't been able to make a name for himself.
Yeah, like I don't. So this is Zach's first coordinator job, but I could see him going back and being a position coach and then eventually getting another shot as a coordinator and potentially being successful as a coordinator. I don't think he's going to go straight into another coordinator job. That was my original point. It was like he's new enough. Like this is his first shot at being a coordinator. I don't think his career as an offensive coordinator is just inherently over. Now it's going to take a different path.
Yeah, it's going to take a restart.
Yeah, but he may get another shot. He could get another shot, and he could be successful.
You know, and we can make the playoffs this year. We haven't been officially eliminated, right?
Yet.
All right, those chances are about the same for me.
Yeah. But I got no hope for the rest of the season. I want to ask something, and I think we should probably wrap on this because we're well over an hour. So I heard a conversation about rivalries, right? In Georgia Tech just happened. It was rivalry week in college football. And there is a legitimate sentiment from a portion of the Georgia Tech fan base that would rather, and I say rather loosely, it means more to them to beat Georgia than it would to lose to Georgia and win a national championship. And there is a portion of Ohio State fans that kind of feel the same way. Like you ask them about winning the championship last year, and they'll say, yeah, like we won the championship. That's great. Yeah. But we lost to Michigan, our biggest rival, in Michigan's down year. We've lost to them 3 straight years. Like it taints it a little bit, right? Like it puts a little sourness to it.
Mm-hmm.
That being said, if we shut out the Saints, if we go 2-0, what does that mean to you as a Falcons fan?
Nothing. And I'll tell you why. Because we got swept by the Panthers. If we can split with those guys, the Panthers suck, man. Their record is better than they are. I'm sure of that.
I thought you are your record.
Oh, well, I'm changing for this argument. We got swept by them. We had to win that Saints game. And shout out for, the Falcons players realizing that with the season being over, that game still matters. The one here will still matter. We took over New Orleans that weekend. We beat the Pelicans that next day. So, we own the city of New Orleans. But they can still throw the 28-3 at us. And they have Super Bowls. So, beating them twice means nothing, especially if that means that Raheem is here any longer.
So I feel the same way you do, but for much different reasons. Like normally in a season, right? Okay, we had a less than season, less than what we wanted out of the season, but we beat the Saints twice. All right, there's a little bit of silver lining on that season. But I can't give them a pass this year. Like I just, with what we have, with the way it's gone for so long, like I'm at the point where I'd rather lose to the Saints twice and make the playoffs than beat them twice and still be in the bottom 5 of the league.
Yeah, and just talking about bottom 5 of the league. But the Saints suck. They have 2 wins. They got the same amount of wins as the Raiders and 1 more win than the Titans. Other than that, they are the weakest link, right? They're third last in the league. If we beat the worst team in the league twice.
Well, technically they're ahead of the Giants.
What do you do?
Too.
You know what I'm saying? Are they?
Yeah, Giants
They're 2-10. Did they beat the Giants?
I don't know that they played,
Yeah,
but
they're
they
10-2. Both
they
teams 10
both
and 2.
yeah both teams have the same record.
Yeah. But what do you do if we beat the sorry Saints, man?
Yeah, I'm with you on that. I was just curious because I thought that was an interesting conversation. I never would have thought about it as a Georgia fan, winning 8 straight against the Nats. But it is interesting to, and it makes sense for some programs, right? Like they're such the little sisters of the Georgia
The
Bulldogs.
Nats.
They're such the little sisters of the Georgia Bulldogs that like I could see how like beating us would be the only thing that matters. Same thing with like Michigan and Ohio State. Like that game is much more heated than you can imagine. Like several fights, like just
But they've
nasty.
both won championships within the last decade. Georgia Tech hasn't won anything in football in like
Along.
40 years.
No, they won.
I was like 85.
No, they won one in '91, or at least they're credited for a national championship in 1991. But they have ACC titles in the last 15 years.
Yeah, now that means nothing to them. I'm sure they'd trade an ACC title for beating Georgia. But a national championship, I don't know. That feels like a stretch.
I don't think it's necessarily a trade, but like if you win the Natty and you lost to Georgia in the same season, you would not be satisfied. Right? Like you would still have that feeling of, but yeah, we still lost to our big brother.
We'll have to agree to disagree on that one. Just because 1990 is just such a long time ago, 35 years. So these are fans that called in and they said that, or is this a perception?
No, it wasn't a fan that called in. It was a host speaking on conversations he had with Georgia Tech fans.
Hmm.
Yeah.
And they played pretty good in this last game. It was a defensive struggle.
They are a much better brand of football under Brent Key, but they lost one game that they should have won in NC State, and they got blown out. And the other game, Pitt's a good team, good for their ACC, but they should have won that game. It was at home, and it's literally like win the game and you go to the ACC championship. That's all you had to do. Win the game, you go to the ACC championship, and you blew it. And I think that there's a lot of teams out there that have that kind of, all you have to do is win, and the moment's too big, you piss down your leg. Texas A&M, Georgia Tech, to name a few.
Falcons.
Falcons have to be up for something to blow it.
They were winning the Jets game, and they blew it.
They're serial losers.
I'm just saying that when all you gotta do, make the kick. All you gotta do is get one stop when they have 80 yards to go. All you gotta do is not give up a 25-point lead.
Facts.
And you win.
Yeah.
And we don't. That's not who they are. It's not in their DNA.
No, it's a culture of losing, whereas Georgia is a culture of winning.
Yeah. Nothing sure has been said. Georgia has a culture of winning.
Until we play the
and
tide.
Driving fast. until you play the tide. How about the tide? Nah, man, they're gonna win this time, man. I'm confident.
I love your energy.
Back, and he gonna ride that energy to a chip, man.
I don't think Kirby feels that monkey, but
are you crazy?
I don't think Kirby feels it for real.
His win percentage. We talked about this.
He's 1-7.
Like 80, but his coaching win percentage is like 78%. 50% of his losses are to Alabama. Or
Yeah.
something crazy like
He's
that.
1-7 against them, and I don't think being 2-7 gets the monkey off his back. It certainly lifts some of that weight for sure. But I truly don't believe that Kirby feels that. I think it's a fan base. I feel like it's a program thing. But he himself, I think he looks at it as just another game.
No, he respects himself and the game too much to look at it as just another game.
And every game is an important game. He said as much. He said, I feel like we've been playing or preparing for a championship game every single week. It's just another important game.
And it is an important game.
Go Dogs.
It's one that has been important before. And he has not gotten the result that he wanted. But I think he can get it. I know he has to say that it's just another game. That has to be his line in his heart of hearts. He wants this one more than he does the others.
I think when Saban was coaching, that was true. Truer than it is now.
It's worse now because Saban's not there and he still can't improve.
I think perception is 100%. Losing to the Tide is much less acceptable now. But I think the personal part of it, he wanted to beat Saban more because that's the, protege master.
Yeah. Sensei.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, I could get behind that.
So
that he wanted to beat him more. Now I just got to beat him, no matter who's in the chair.
Absolutely. Just win the game in front of you, and all will be well.
All will be well.
Winning cures all.
Winning cures all. Falcons will never know, but I digress.
Yeah, man. Well, it's been good. 2 weeks off. We appreciate all y'all that stick with us. Hope you enjoyed another episode of the Players Ball Podcast. If you learned anything, hit that subscribe. If you enjoyed any of the conversations, hit that subscribe. If you're a person, hit that subscribe.
If you're a bot, subscribe.
No, but for real, hit that like, subscribe, leave us a comment, and we will catch you on another one.
Peace.
Peace.